Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in whatever the part of world. This is Senthil Palaniappan, President and CEO of Sennovate. Today, we are going to talk about migrating the cybersecurity with SIEM and SOC, that is the Security Information Event Management and the Security Operations Center. So having said that, let's talk about a few housekeeping items. Please use Ask Questions button to any time to ask your questions. Whenever, if it is relevant, we will answer then and there. Otherwise, we will please hold it until the end of the presentation. We will answer all the questions. At the end of the presentation, please rate our webinar. That will be very helpful to improve our services. Please leave the feedback as well. And also feel free to share this presentation to anybody that might be benefited. Having said that, I kind of make a small introduction about the speakers. Again, this is Senthil Palaniappan. As I said, I've been in the industry for over 25 years, specialized in various infrastructure solutions and identity management, operations center, security solutions, and also consulted with various Fortune companies. And the key presentation today is Kumar Kanniappan. It's been in the industry for 18 years. He is a subject matter expert and having a vast experience with various customers and various part of identity management, security operations center, and cybersecurity. He is going to share from his deepest knowledge and experience. He can highlight some of the lessons he learned as well in this presentation. And another person is Kalai, Chellappan. She is having over 8 years of experience, and she's having a vast experience and deep knowledge on SIEM and SOC solutions. And also she has an experience in automating security incidents and trying to use some of the AI and similar technologies. And before handing out to the key presentation, Kumar, I wanted to also share, we will be at the RSA conference in this next month, this month of February 24 to 28 in the Moscone Center in San Francisco. Please come and visit us in our booth if you happen to be here in the city. But otherwise, we keep you guys updated on the conference as well. Having said that, I hand over to Kumar. Kumar, why don't you take over from here?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Senthil. Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. Glad to be part of this Bright Talk session to share our views and thoughts, how SOC is a service can be leveraged, and what are the core components of SOC and SIEM. What is a security operations center? What is a security information and event management? I specifically we called Kalai to this presentation to give how she handles the day in, day out of certain ransomware kill chain. She has a couple of slides. She walk us through it, that how she handles it in a day in, day out of her job. And then the couple of slides we talk about how to deploy a SOC services and why SOC is important in today's digital world, and what type of benefits organization gets by deploying the SOC services. So everybody talks SOC, and how can I choose the right SOC vendors? Even if you go to the Gartner Magic Quadrant or Forrester Wave, you can look into the SOC space, starting from all the way leaders to the visionaries quadrant. You can see at least 4 to 5 different vendors are there. So how do I choose the right SOC vendor? How can I improve it? So we have a couple of slides to present and share our views in that. All right, let's kick the ball rolling. And then, so first I want to give example or scenarios, what is SIEM and SOC. And this presentation is more like a entry level or beginner level to a little bit of intermediate level. So if you have a very deep questions, deep knowledge, I don't know the webinar would be the right, but our contact details are in the slide so that you folks can reach me at any time. So SIEM, we have been used or seen this one very long time. Many platforms, many tools are available, which is nothing but security information event management, which is nothing but in your infrastructure, in your network, or in your data center, or in your SD-WAN network, all those things, bring the security risk posture of it, basically to show the risk posture of your organization. That's how about this thing. It's nothing but collecting the log from various endpoints, various devices, routers, firewalls, all those things, and bring it in one location so that you can monitor the traffic. So that way it brings awareness to the CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, or who runs a cyber security operation for an organization, to see where the vulnerabilities, what all the things running in their infrastructure, where the gaps and all, and then how they can mature it. So SIEM is nothing but collecting the logs from various source systems, various endpoints, and bring it in one place. And then on top of that, we can apply an automation tools and other things to mature it and things. Similarly, the SIEM tool also provide certain rules where you can alert if some malicious users trying to hack or attack into your firewall. We can define a certain patterns. Through that patterns, we can notify certain alerts. So those are all the core things about SIEM. Whereas coming to the SOC, SOC is nothing but on top of SIEM, how do we build intelligence from that? Okay, so we have to have a people, process, technology, which enables how we continuously improve and monitor and improve our service. So SOC includes various things. So basically, all your assets in your organization, collecting all the logs from the assets, and then improving the process, improving the security postures, and building an automation. Let's assume you have 500 firewalls, 3,000 endpoints. If these devices are sending a constant events or some kind of incidents, you cannot able to manage it. So that's where we want to bring an automation orchestration to filter certain requests and then keep certain vulnerable or malicious things where the engineers like Kalai or SOC analyst Kalai can troubleshoot it and take a help and resolve it. On top of that, all these things is we have to do with compliance reporting, because various organizations deals with certain regulations. Example, healthcare industry needs to follow the HIPAA healthcare guidelines, and then payment card industry guidelines for banking customers, and life science customer has to follow the GXP compliance. So then we need to prepare a dashboard of it. If I'm running a healthcare customer data, I need to make sure I'm following all the HIPAA guidelines. So as a compliance officer in the organization, I need to have my compliance report to certify saying that I'm running my operations meeting the HIPAA guidelines. Otherwise, company get penalized or penalties they have to pay for the fines. So that's about the SIEM and SOC. Moving on to the next slide. So we want to present what are the core components of SOC and the SIEM. So in this one, the core component is the first one is you have to have a way or mechanism to record all your digital assets, which includes patching the assets, where the asset is running, status of the asset, what type of vulnerability is running on that. For example, if I have firewall deployed, the firewall is not patched for 3 years, that may be vulnerable for an attack. Similarly, if I have a web server running on that DMZ demilitarized zone, if it's running an older version of Apache or IIS, I need to see what's the patch available, how to patch it. So the first component is pretty much to record all my digital assets, scan the assets, and see what component it's running on it, what type of vulnerability may be available. Once we bring all these things and collecting all the logs and all, so we can leverage automations tools like bots or a machine learning algorithms to detect certain incidents or events coming from it. It's not malicious in nature, so we can let go or maybe put as a warning type of thing. And there are certain things where it needs an individual or the human attention as an incident to track it. We have to do for that. The next part of it, using these two tools and things, I need to define certain compliance. A lot of SIEM or SOC tools, they do provide when I deploy any servers where it need to be a PCI compliant or it need to be an HIPAA compliant. So there are certain controls has been defined. Example, I need to have the latest version of antivirus software. And if I'm storing any kind of customer data, I need to have a mechanism to record or store the data in encrypted format, data at rest. So those type of compliance will be provided, and using those compliance, we can deploy your controls, which will deploy the antivirus system and also encrypt the data at rest. And next one is more like we need a 24/7 operations also, because SOC is not something is going to be a 8/5 or a business hours users going to access it. Maybe user access during the business hours, whereas attackers all the time, because we open up the digital assets or digital platform, consumers or users can access any point of time. So we need to have a 24/7 SOC center and delivery center to monitor all the logs we are receiving it and working on it. And the next part of is more like ticketing and triaging, because even if we collect all these incidents, if there is only 100 incidents need to be handled, we need to open up the incident with appropriate team. To give an example, if I'm dealing with a web server, it's not been patched and it's been vulnerable for attacks, then I need to work with that particular team to patch it. And then I'll run a rescan of it and make sure that platform is properly patched. That's one example. So similarly, if there are any controls gaps also we identified, so that will becomes as a ticket and work with the appropriate team to address it. And then the last one is more like the data or the log collections, which we can go from either it's on-prem, and these days good amount of customers are buying a service as an as-a-service model, example, Salesforce, ServiceNow, and HR payroll systems, all these things. We want to monitor what's going on in that one as well. And we want to bring the logs to the centralized solution and then look forward it or optimize it. So in nutshell, so the components of SIEM or SOC will be successful with the three major components, which is nothing but people, process, and technology. So we have to have a certain level of technology and tools, and the right level of people like SOC analyst, incident responder, SOC manager, and also right level of compliance and process defined to mature the SOC systems. All right, let's go to the next slide. So this slide talks about SOC as a service. We have seen many customers, many vendors offering SOC as a service. There are various components in it. So you can give the entire thing and call it as a SOC as a service, or a portion of it also we can outsource it. Because as an organization, either at a large scale, Fortune 100 companies or a small, medium business, they will not be able to manage, or they will have a tough time to considering the landscape and things to maintain and retain all the people. There are certain portions the company may see as a benefit, a portion of it to be offered as a service or own with or co-locate with their employees and then run it. So the first portion on the left-hand side, which is more like a security incidents or SIEM as a service, which is nothing but if I have a 300 firewalls, 200 servers, and a 500 database, all those things, the main part of is installing appropriate log collection agents or the log forwarders and bring all the logs into a centralized position. So that will be a more like a SIEM as a service or security analytics as a service. Nothing but all these digital assets generating an events, how can I collect it and put it in a centralized place? Then I will run some algorithm, data analytics algorithm or machine learning algorithms to make intelligence around it. That's one part of it. The second, which is on the left-hand side, is nothing but a threat intel service. So how do I know this type of things are being bad? Example, the domain is registered or a dark web. So this is the companies who they are specialized in to collect a threat feed, meaning this country has been sanctioned or this country been formal or this particular IP address range has been used for cyber attacks. Those type of threat data or dark web data or identities, ransomware related attacks, those type of information, they collect it. As an organization, they will not be able to get all these things. In our experience, most of the company get as a threat field from companies like Anomaly and other things to get that feed. So that's more like a threat intelligence as a service. If I move on to the right-hand side, where we have two different components, which is a SOC as a service, other one is the CSIRT, Computer Security Incident Response Team as a service, where the central part is where I bring all these things, put it in a platform, and then make a meaningful dashboard. So that's the centerpiece where we can run everything in the cloud. Example, Alien Vault, which everything runs in the cloud, or Azure Sentinel is another platform, will run it in the cloud. Or even we can take the platform like a Splunk or other things, run it in AWS and the other servers where we get all the feeds, and we'll apply a automation or a SOAR platform, security automation and orchestration platform, to automate certain things. Or it could be on the customer data center also, which shows about the second diagram, where we will deploy SOAR platforms on top of it and build a dashboard. If I move the attention to the right hand side, so where now we are making a meaningful dashboard out of it. So this dashboard will provide how many incidents has been generated in the last 24 hours, how many incidents has been closed, how many incidents need some attention, and also we can also do some risk scoring also. How as a CISO level, when they look at where the vulnerability exists, is it at the data center level or at the endpoints has more vulnerability, our email solution have been not properly locked or secured, which brings lots of vulnerability. So that dashboard provides the various views and aspect to the CISO levels where they want to invest or how they want to improve it. The end goal of the SOC is nothing but monitoring each and every traffic coming into that data center or user laptops or desktops and see what type of activity is coming. Is it a regular request or it's a malicious traffic which is coming in, so that we can get a better visibility of it. On top of, on the right hand side, is the SOC as a service, where folks like Kalai or SOC incident responder, they will work. They pick certain incidents based on the severity risk level and they work on it. So basically this dashboard, when they click on it, it may be relevant to multiple things has been happened, which Kalai will explain in her ransomware kill chain, how the malicious email gets and what type of incidents it gets triggered. So they can see what type of incidents or what type of events has been generated and drill through one by one to see what the actual problem is and work with the right individual to improve it or correct it and close the incidents. So that SOC has a service where it will manage all the incidents, service requests, whichever comes from the platform. They research it, analyze it, solve it, and close the incident. And the bottom part of it is more like an incident response. So even if you want to outsource that one also to an incident response group where they can manage and run for it, that's also possible. So we have seen organization doing everything as a service, giving to one vendor to manage it. There are portion of things they give it depending upon their company's budget, their strategy, how they want to improve their cybersecurity posture. They will give a certain portion to vendors to manage it, certain portion to retain it, and then work or improve it. Depending upon the organization size and the budget available for cybersecurity, so they can pick and choose. And we can definitely help to define a strategy or roadmap, how to get as a SOC as a service. That I'll move on to the next slide. All right, so now I'll bring Kalai into this one. So she has a couple of slides. She will explain how the typical ransomware attack or kill chain process works, and in her day-to-day job, how she will work to mitigate it. Kalai?
Yes. Thank you, Senthil and Kumar, for setting up the stage and presenting. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Again, I'm Kalai Chellappan. I'm one of the SOC analysts working on the large SOC MSSP support. The next few minutes, I'm going to explain a simple ransomware kill chain process. Let's look at the slide and talk about it. In this slide, if you see the hacker on the left-hand side sends malicious emails to the employee or user's laptop to gain access. In this scenario, employee organization have not implemented robust email security solution or endpoint security solution. So this is a small organization where they have not prioritized to deploy strong security or SOC related components. So let's talk with them some examples so we can understand better. So let's think that user gets a simple email stating that click here to download W2. The hacker framed the email and looks it's coming from the HR department. Since it is a tax filing period, users think company started delivering W2 in electronic format and click the hyperlink to download W2. You know now what will happen. Yes. So attacker exploited and installed malware on the end user laptop or PC. The link has taken to the malicious website and asked user to enter the user ID and password to download W2. Okay. In this kill chain process, we noticed two sets of compromised happened. The first one is attacker installed malware on the victim laptop or PC. The second one is attacker also gained access of employee credentials such as user ID and password. Now, using malware, attackers encrypted users' laptop files and asked ransom amount using Bitcoin or digital currency to release the encrypted files. That's what all about this slide is. Hope you all understood the basic ransomware email kill chain process in this slide. Now, let's move on to the next slide where thank you. Now let's move on to the next slide where we implemented security solution and SIEM and SOC and MSSP to prevent email ransomware attack. If you look at the diagram, it's the same diagram we saw in the previous slide. However, various security controls have been deployed to prevent ransomware email attacks and bring visibility to the organization. In this diagram, you see the email is scanned for legitimacy, safe link, safe attachment, and Office 365 Advanced Threat Protection feature has been enabled to scan the email before even it's delivered to the user. So with this approach, we blocked all the malicious emails delivered to the user's mailbox. Even after doing all these, some of the sophisticated email attacks cannot be stopped by the email security solution. If the email is not stopped by the Office 365 Advanced Threat Protection or Exchange Online Protection or any other email security solution, then we have defined second level of defense to stop installing malware on the end user PC. If you look into the icon next to the laptop, where we have robust antivirus or EDR solutions to stop installing malware on end user PC and notify such incident to the SOC center. Additionally, we have also enabled URL filtering to warn users accessing any malicious sites and report such events to the SOC center. So by deploying all these controls, we stopped malicious emails delivering to the user's mailbox. Additionally, brought up visibility to the Cybersecurity Center or SOC to the research and take appropriate actions on the attackers. So my job in this one is constantly researching such incidents and work closely with the Office Threat Protection or Endpoint Antivirus Security team to fine-tune or update security rules to prevent any new cyber attacks. To summarize, we stopped delivering the malicious emails, filtering the URL, and protect malware installation on end-user laptop or PC. On top of all, we reported these alerts and incidents to the SOC team to continuously monitor and protect our customer digital assets. With that, I thank Senthil and Kumar providing an opportunity to present ransomware kill chain process to you all in this webinar. Thank you, folks. We'll pass on to Kumar to conclude the session. Thank you.
All right, sure. Thank you, Kalai. It was a really good, quick couple of minutes talk, how it helps or what type of controls we help to deploy the customer side to safeguard it. And the diagram also is simple to understand how we are stopping it. All right, I have a couple more slides before we conclude these sessions, and then we'll take up any question and answers we have. So then we'll move on to the next slide. So a lot of times this type of question comes, hey, I have not matured my SOC, or how do I mature my SOC? Or some company, they started it, they don't have a good return on investment, or they're not matured it. As Kalai explained, there are maybe a small, medium business or startup company, they just started deploying an email solution endpoint. They're not been consolidated, or they don't have the right strategy to bring all the events and logs, or to visualize it, or to create a correlation, or run a behavioral analytics type of things. So this slide explains how to define, improve, or execute and improve it. So the first part of the phase, or phase 0 we'll call is, we work with the customer to understand where or what type of endpoints they have deployed it, where their data center is, are they fully cloud, born on cloud, everything runs on the cloud, or they have a mix on-prem and data center, or they may be sharing a data center with other partners like that. So basically what we want to do is we understand the customer line of business, what they do, so that way we can define a threat vector of it, what type of threat the user is with. Then we can recommend, suggest what would be the right type of solutions. There are tons of vendors available in the market, starting from Alien Vault, USM Anywhere, everything on cloud. If you are completely everything deploying on a platform as a service, like a public cloud vendors like Azure or AWS or GCP, they have their own native controls also to bring this logs and events it. On top of that, if that requirement is not met, we can bring us another solutions like a Splunk or different vendors to see where and what type of models can be deployed. So phase 0 is nothing but understanding the customer landscape, what type of threats the customer is facing on, what is their strategy of adapting the digital workspace, what type of devices either they're going to deal with the IoT, industrial operational technology type of devices or medical devices, what they're going to bring, so that we have better understanding and create a roadmap to deploy the SOC solution. And the typically the phase 1 will be a duration of anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks or at the max of 6 weeks, depending upon the contract execution sign, and we work with them to understand it. And we're coming to the phase 1. So now we laid out our foundation, what are the tools needed, what type of attack we are going to face in, so what type of people we need to bring in, what type of software we are going to install it, what type of log we are going to collect. Now we'll go and deploy all those things and bring all the log sources and apply a security rules to make those incidents or events more meaningful, and assign to engineers like Kalai to work on certain incidents or anything comes as part of it. So typically the phase 1 is nothing but deploying the software, collecting all the logs, aggregate it, and run some analysis algorithm or orchestration platform on top of it, make those events meaningful, and see that the event is anything related to a malicious event or incident which we need to act on, assign to engineer to work on it, and then we'll go from there. And then the next phase, typically the phase 1 is also takes anywhere from, depending upon the data sets or the environment which we are going to handle with, it's anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks or 10 weeks, depending upon the large volume of data we are going to review or what type of endpoints we are programming. Even in the phase 1 can be spread into multiple things. Maybe we can start with email security solution log collection first, and then endpoint security solution, then firewalls, routers, like that as we go and mature it, depending upon the complexity of the environment. And the phase 2, which is nothing but now I have defined my attack vector, identified the right tools, deployed the right tools, collecting all the logs, events. Now I'm going to mature it. So we, as a SOC, this is where I feel is a very good amount of artificial intelligence, machine learning can be deployed, because let's assume you have a good amount of 2,000 digital assets constantly sending these events or alerts. We will not able to manage it. So this is where we have to apply the machine learning or automation algorithms to allow the platform to learn and detect what all the events to be malicious, what all the events to be is easy to ignore, those type of correlations or behavioral patterns, all those things, apply it, and will mature the platform. So the entire goal of phase 2 is fine-tuning our rules, whatever we defined it, see that rules are yielding the right results, and how certain results without involving like Kalai or humans, how we can automate through a platforms, creating an incident assigned to the right group, and the right group will take appropriate actions and close the incidents. So it's pretty much we want to reduce the incidents which human needs to involve and work on it in the phase 2, and bring automation at the scale so that they can be automated through an automation platforms. All right, on to the next slide. The next slide, which talks about how I'm going to choose the SOC vendors. So in the last 20 or 25 minutes, we discussed good amount of points. There are various factors involved in choosing the SOC vendor or SOC as a service also. So we talked about people, process, and technology. So while choosing a technology, we have to see the vendor is providing good amount of log collector agents available out of the box. There are sometimes where we choose a product or platform which may not have a collector or a endpoint collector to a MySQL database. If the company is heavily using a MySQL as their open source database thing, we have to find the vendor who provides those type of things as out of the box. That's one of the things we have to see. And or if the company is investing more on the IoT devices, medical devices, that's where they're seeing that their assets will be, then we have to find a vendor who is strong in bringing those type of log collection from those type of IoT devices. And the second part is also location is also matters. So we don't want to have a fully cost optimized, putting our SOC center in a different location, but the incidents, good amount of things happens, and you want to co-locate or work with the REST application team to remediate such events. So we need to have a right balance, which location will be a much better. Historically, all the SOC vendors, they charge that thing is based on the EPS, which is nothing but events per second. How many events we trigger based on their pricing, and all the software vendors, starting from Splunk or IBM QRadar, they have a different pricing model based on the landscape, tools, technology we supported. And we also seeing the recent things from Microsoft and all, they use a GB model. Per GB of data they store on this events, how much it will cost. There are good amount of pricing difference or calculators available, to detect how we can choose the right vendor based on the EPS or GB model. And then also, so as we discussed, we are generating huge amount of events. If you don't have a good automation or orchestration platform, or the vendor's tools does not work with any of the automation platforms or vendors, then we have to see which type of automation tools we have to build on top of it, or we'll take that vendor and we bring our separate automation tool and how to mature it. And similarly, good amount of SOC vendors or SIEM solution providers, they have a mandated or default complaints reports are readily available and pre-configured with it, which a bunch of few clicks or maybe configuring few items, we can make that compliance thing and then generate the reports also. Depending upon the industry we work with, we see what type of complaints the industry needs to go through or the company needs to go through, and then we'll identify or choose the vendor who has more compliance modules which are already baked in, right? And the last one, I already a little bit touched upon it, which type of industry we focus on. Our company is going to more focus into the IoT device or medical device. That's where we have, the company is investing for next 3-4 years. We have to also identify the vendor who has a vision to support it, because we are seeing good amount of ICS like industry control systems where it's not been properly patched or maintaining the vulnerabilities, which will also attack for the attacker, surface for the attacker, where they can exploit certain things and cause damage to it. And we bringing the right tool which has the support to ICS or medical device, which will be a good choice. There are so many various factors involved in it, choosing the right vendors. So if you happen to be in RSA conference or if you want to contact us, we can have a detailed session to understand and make certain recommendations. With that, I will be coming to the end of my slides. I will pass the ball back to Senthil to conclude the session or answer any Q&A and then wrap it up.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kumar and Kalai, and for the wonderful presentation here. And so, yeah, I would be careful. This is the W2 time. I would be careful on my links. Having said that, this is we have a few questions. I mean, one of the things I forgot to mention, as a company, we are not we are a partner agnostic company. We work with multiple partners like Fortinet or Island Vault, Microsoft, and other vendors as well. But the idea here is not about the vendor. It's all about the issue and then the right solution mix. So that's what I think we believe in. And having said that, few interesting questions from the viewers, and one of them is like, how would you sense a new threat for the first time? Basically, if you have a ransomware or anything like that, always something new popping up in the surface. So if something is net new and then nobody is aware of it, how would you sense it for the first time? Kumar, would you like to take this on? Kumar, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, Senthil, I was talking on mute. Sorry about that. Yeah, I will take this question, Senthil. So I know we discussed when we start the engagement, we define a threat vector and all, right? If it is a completely new threat, how do we determine? It's a really one of the good questions. So basically, if we are bringing intelligence from various log sources or from various systems, we try to do a behavioral-based type of things also. If the device is constantly sending certain things, so to see what type of threat is. And also we have a threat feed coming in, so maybe we keep eye on it, certain things going on, either certain country-based or geo-based type of things also to pay attention to it. And then also we are proactively monitoring all these things, which is a new endpoint comes in, or when we deploy a new devices or a new type of assets, digital assets we bring into an enterprise, we will make sure it has the right level of log collectors and other things to deploy it. It's one of the hard, but using a behavioral monitoring and monitoring the environment 24/7, we will be able to detect or identify the new threat.
Thanks, Kumar. And so, yeah, I think to add to that point, some of the partners like Alien Wall, they have the knowledge base of the different type of threats spawning worldwide. You know, all the internet, they own like I think 1/3 or 2/3 of the internet. So, and that one we kind of helps that now comparing with the knowledge base and behavioral analytics, right? So if you kind of see that similar pattern in multiple places, then kind of that rings a bell as well. So that is good. So moving on to the next question. So this is a common question many people are asking. How would you handle the huge volume of notification? Basically, when we have so many enterprise, so many devices, everything we kind of split in so many logs, in that so many warnings, in that so many alerts. How would you handle this huge volume of it?
Yeah, sure, Senthil.
Kumar?
So this is also a common type of thing, right? As we showed in maturing a SOC process, we define your rules, right? When we define a certain rules, we don't know it is a false positive or it's really a right thing. So how we will handle it is, we'll take probably 2 to 3 months. We define based on the industry standards, define certain rules, and we collect a notification. As we slowly maturing the process, we see what all the things, false positives, and eliminate those type of things. To answer this question, initial days or when we deploy it, we see a good amount of spike in the notification alerts will spread across, and we will be backlogged with a lot of things. But that's where we want to bring an automation as the phase 2 of it, and then sort of prioritize it or to automatically eliminate certain false positives and all. So initial couple of months to 3 months, we will live with or have a good amount of more team member to support large volume, and then we can ramp it down where we fine tuning it or optimizing the rules so that we can reduce those type of false positives, and also automation where it comes in. For example, if there is a web server, it's scanned, it has a vulnerability in it. We don't need to have a human involved in to take or look into those incidents because we have a good amount of CVEs published and we know what's the vulnerability. And all these SOC vendors or SIEM solution vendors also provide a remediation plan also as part of it. So we help certain customers if we identify those type of patching or those type of things. It will automatically create an incident assigned to an appropriate asset owner or application owner to take an appropriate action to install or patch those vulnerabilities as well. So that's the way we have, in our experience, we handle the huge volume of notification, and over a period of time, we were able to optimize and reduce it. Senthil, if you want to add any other thoughts, feel free to do.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kumar. And also, this is like Kumar said, it is a journey. So always this never gets perfect, but basically understanding our environment, understanding the potential threats, what we potentially going to face, and kind of eliminate what are the noise versus real threats. So building the rules, and also we can use our AI capabilities to kind of determine so the noise versus the real threat. So that's my 2 cents on that. And thank you, Kumar. One more question we have is this is kind of interesting. So it's any specific pattern that you see in the threat, basically the time bound, it happens during specific time, or is it a specific business event? Probably I think referring to is like maybe during the W2 time, or maybe we are business when they are launching something. Anything any relevant to the type of the attack, pattern of attack? Kumar, do you have any insight?
Yeah, sure. There is no regular pattern, or we observed it. We presented in our slides where there is a tax season. The next one is the holidays shopping time. Also, we have seen it. To answer this question, it's depending upon what's happening around us is what our pattern, I would say. Depending if there is people really scared on this shopping time or shopping season where they want to buy or rewards, those type of things. That's we have seen good amount of email attacks and other things. And the other way also, if there is a software running on your endpoints or a software running on your data center, example Java version or .NET version, if there is any known vulnerability, example even the previous SSL poodle vulnerability and other things been detected, that was another time also we've seen attackers are more energetic to attack those type of things. So to answer it, 2 views to it, depending upon the situation or the business, the scenarios, holiday season or tax season, those type of things. And other one is more like very well popularly used software in the market and very widely used. And suddenly we detect any vulnerabilities. Even good amount of time we trusted SSL will be a more robust and secure protocol. And Google able to release an CVE where there is a vulnerability in that, how we can exploit it. If these type of things happens, then we want to see that's where attacker also get more lot of things and do it. Similar things also happen with WebLogic also. There was another vulnerability discovered where everybody wants to try to see where WebLogic is running, or WordPress is another example where it's running, where there is a vulnerability exists, they want to exploit it. This is not a common anything we are able to see in our journey so far, but it goes and up and down depending upon the situation or scenarios. Yes, Senthil.
Thanks, Kumar. I completely agree with you on that. And so it's all like about, when we are vulnerable, attackers will attack. So what time we are vulnerable, that's what it is, right? So people, we have to keep a constant vigil on all the time. And so that's a very good answer, right? It's like a home, what time the burglar will come in. When we are not vigilant, they know that our vulnerability. So when we are constantly vigilant all the time, then probably we can avoid one. So that's all our questions we have. Again, thank you, Kumar. Thank you, Kalai, for the presentation and sharing some of the experience. And please feel come and visit us in RSA conference. We're happy to answer more questions you might have. Our booth number is 2456. And if you'd like to have any expo pass or anything, please feel free to reach out to us and at hello@sennovate.com. We're more than happy to provide you a free pass to attend the conference, and I would love to meet with you all. Having said that, we then conclude this presentation and see you next time.
All right. Thank you, Senthil. Thank you, everyone, for attending this presentation or webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you.